fan och piss och skit. Welcome to the ultimate guide to swearing in Swedish. Just precis. It's crazy that it's taken this long for me to make this video. Even as a young, innocent looking little kid, I loved coming up with different combinations of swear words that would, make Keith Richards blush. So in this video I will go through every single swear word in Swedish, with example sentences and everything, my goodness. I should say, I suppose, that I will have to translate them into English as well, so if you have young kids around while you're watching this, now would be the time to sort of sit them on your lap and ask them to pay close attention. I've divided them into different categories, so fan, piss och skit. Let's start with the religious ones. Fan means the devil, and it's used all the time, even though most Swedes no longer believe in the fucker. It's used in a variety of ways, but mainly to express general dissatisfaction. Fan, jag missade precis tågfan. Notice the use of fan there as a suffix. Tågfan, the fucking train. Fan också, jag glömde visst dra ner mina byxor. The också there, which means also, is commonly used after certain swear words. And I have no fucking idea why. Okay, jo men visst fan, självklart kan jag sluka alla barnens punschrullar. As you can see, it is very versatile and you hear it all over the place here in Sweden, all the time. Next one is satan, which also, it's a less common one, but it also means the devil, as you can imagine, maybe. Satan, vilka obekväma trosor. As I said, you do hear this from time to time, but it's definitely not as common as fan. Or the next one, jävlar, which on the other hand is probably the most common swear word in Swedish. Again, this is the third word that also means devil or Satan or demon, and it is basically the fuck of Swedish, I'd say, because it really is very versatile. Jävlar vad småkyligt det var ute då. The most common use might be the adjective or adverb version jävla, as in, skulle du kunna ge mig det jävla saltet, tack. Hur jävla länge har du bott i Sverige då? Oh. Because of this versatility, I urge you to master this one first. If you're getting into, if this is your first time foraying into Swedish swear words. Aha, helvete. Yeah, is also a very common one. It means hell and is usually quite straightforward. Helvete vad ointressant den här videon är. You also commonly hear the genitive case helvetes for emphasis. Helvetes jävla pitt. Ännu en YouTube-annons man inte kan hoppa över. Fan. Oh, that's it for the religious ones really, unless you can come up with more down in the comments if I've missed one. Now let's move on, as I usually say, to sex and feces. Now the biblical ones we just went through are, for whatever reason, the most common ones in Swedish. I don't know why that is, really. But of course we also have all sorts of naughty words describing bodily functions and the nether regions and all sorts of fluids and things. And despite Sweden being a generally very sort of open society, I suppose, when it comes to sex and the naked body and such, we don't use these swear words as often as you would, for instance, in English, which I don't really know why. But anyway, the Swedish word for fuck, for instance, is knulla, which we rarely use as a swear word even. Most of the time when we say it, we are literally talking about fucking. That said, it is perhaps wise to refrain from using the word in certain social situations. Jag knullade nyss med din son/dotter is perhaps not something that most Swedish in-laws would approve of hearing, Jag hade nyss sex med din son/dotter is way better. Anyway, let's start with penises, shall we? Kuk is the most common word in Swedish for cock. There it is. However, penis, pit and televink are also fair game. Calling someone a dick or a dickhead is the exact same in Swedish. Han är en total jävla kuk. Vilket kukhuvud är det som har beställt vitlöksbröd? So it is quite versatile, but the other versions simply just mean what they mean as well. I don't know if you other Swedish speakers agree with me on this, but I'd say that most kukar are quite a bit larger than the average snopp or televink. Although if you do have a huge girthy one and you refer to it as your televink, then that is one hell of a power move. Alright, moving on to cunts. So fitta is a very strong word in Swedish. Calling someone this is considered incredibly rude. I often get asked what the equivalent of pussy is in Swedish, and there isn't one, really. You could say mutta, but no one really uses that word, and vagina is way too clinical, So fitta just is the way to go. just know that it is incredibly strong. It is probably the strongest word in Swedish, and you shouldn't use it just willy-fucking-nilly, as most of my friends who I've taught this word to. They keep fucking shouting it in the street, you know. Come to think of it, I think this whole video might be a huge mistake. I don't know. Don't be assholes in general. Or var inte ett arsel. Just precis. What a segue. Just one gooch away, we are now discussing assholes. I'm very disappointed in Swedish when it comes to this, because arsel is in no way a very sexy word. Ass can be referred to, you know, a nice ass. Whereas ett fint arsel really doesn't sound good to me. It's a little bit like the Swedish word for nipple, which is bröstvårta or breastwort. As you might have gathered, sexy talk is sometimes a bit tricky in Swedish. Skit means shit. You can also say bajs or even bajskorv if you consider yourself a person of culture, you know. Skit is used in pretty much exactly the same way as shit in English. As in, min mamma har inte hört av sig idag heller. Skit. Again, just like with fan, it is common to add också after skit. Skit också. Jag blev precis påkörd av en långtradare. A fairly unique one, I think, for Swedish, at least compared to English, is that it is fairly common to request the listener shit themselves in Swedish. Skit på dig literally means shit upon yourself, but it means just shit yourself, you know. The emphasis is on the på, as in skit på dig, rather than skit på dig, which would just indicate that the person you're talking to has poop somewhere upon their person, you know. Which is a very handy phrase, you know, if they do, I suppose, but knowing the difference can be good. Not only is it fairly common to request someone poop their pants, you can also say ät bajs, which is eat shit, which to be fair is not very common at all. I only ever use it with my friend Emily for some bloody reason. And finally we have piss, which means accountant. Nej, it means piss. Piss, yeah, or urine, as I've heard some people say. This is also very straightforward. When something doesn't quite go your way, Swedish people say piss då, or skit då, the little då, which indicates past tense. It's kind of like adding också, and I have no idea why we add these little words after only certain words as well. Seemingly only piss, skit and fan, as far as I can tell. You never really hear someone say helvete också, or jävlar då. I don't know why. If someone has an idea about why we only use då and också for these words, let me know down in the comments. Maybe it's something to do with like these ones being very short, like one syllable words maybe or something. I don't know. There we go. Now that you know the most commonly used swear words in Swedish, feel free to combine them into your own versions, you know. I love kuk, arsel and pojkpitt, as you might have heard me use. I also feel like I should mention the words prutt, fis and mök, because they mean fart. They're not necessarily swear words really, but you know, fispotta is one of my favorite words in Swedish. So an example sentence with as many of them crammed in as possible, you know, would be helvetes jävla piss. Vad fan skulle jag vilja ha arslets jävla kukkvitto för? Din satans fispotta. Jag tar det gärna digitalt istället. If you have any other swear words in Swedish that you would like to tell me that I didn't mention in this video, feel free to leave them down in the comments. If you have any like regional variants, for instance, or your own unique ones, I don't know. Now, as you can imagine, this video might not have made YouTube very happy with me. So, you know, any help through a like on the video or a comment or a share or something like that would be very appreciated. Of course, I should say thank you very much for watching, and especially to my Patreons. You can support the channel and what I do for only $1 a month if you are interested. Oh, and I should say as well, thank you very much for all the feedback on the previous video and on the poll that I posted on the community tab. I think I have a little bit more of a sort of clear view of where I want to try and take the channel moving forward. Yeah. Okay, so that's very exciting. I will see you in 2 weeks. Puss, puss.